Hello and welcome to another Doctor Assistant 1 video, and today this is a behind the scenes look at the Kraken part 4. So we've just found out that this guy is not the Kraken but the Drashig, or a Drashig, and that, so yeah, and why he's here, to get his birthright of sorts, so yeah, to get, oh well, not his birthright, but to, you know, let his people ascend to the Earth, because the Drashigs were on the planet thousands of years before Homo sapiens were, and that. And obviously, normally in that situation, a lot of sort of like the Sea Devils and Doctor Who and the Silurians, for example, those two, were like this episode where there was, you know, sea-based creatures. I'm not actually sure if the Drashigs are sea-based creatures. I've not actually seen the episode where they're in the show, which is, I think, Carnival of Monsters. I think that's the one they're in, I think. Anyway, nonetheless, normally in said situation, John Pertwee's Doctor would be, you know, diplomatic, be all like, oh, the Sea Devils could have the parts of the Earth that are inhabitable for Homo sapiens and whatnot, and try and be diplomatic, whereas obviously this is the Dark Doctor, so he's not going to be that diplomatic. So in part 5, there is going to be a lot of sort of rage and whatnot in there, just to say. And yeah, oddly enough, the TARDIS, the exterior, has actually been in this sort of these parts quite a bit, actually, more so than usual. It won't be in the next few parts, I don't think, until obviously the last one, which will be part 6. So yeah, this is a 6-part story. So yeah, I've still got part 5 and 6 to go. What else? Jack is dead now. Jack's character dies. He gets developed pretty well and then dies. It's the only real way I know personally for my figure adventures to get rid of characters. Like, I don't know, what's the alternative? Just not developing his character anymore and he just goes off to the sidelines. I don't know, he was a decent villain for a while and that, but as the Doctor said, he should, or the Dark Doctor in this case, said, you know, he should just reevaluate where he is in the hierarchy and whatnot, because he gets brutally killed and eaten by the Drashig. So yeah, that makes the Dark Doctor all the more hesitant to be diplomatic. You know, he's kind of sick of, you know, people just consistently, you know, saying, "Oh, I have the right to this," or "Oh, I should have this and that," and stuff, and you know. So that kind of annoys him, but to put the icing on the cake, for him not to want to be diplomatic towards the Drashig, you know, the Drashig kills, you know, the Jack, you know, yeah, okay, granted he was kind of a villain, and the way I'd, you know, developed his character was a villain-like thing, but as much as the Dark Doctor's dark, I don't think he'd have ever wanted to actually kill him. He'd want him to go to like a prison or something, but not to kill him, I don't think. But yeah, so yeah, he's still, you know, he's still like the Doctor. He still, you know, protects humanity, but the way he protects humanity is a lot more edgier and dark, and I think you'll see that in part 5 and 6. So yeah, and the cliffhanger was that, you know, Alex and Tyler are dead because obviously the Drashig eats or bites into the top bit of the house and whatnot, and then all this rubble just comes down on them, and that, like, the roof collapses in on them, and they're both dead. So you know, that's the cliffhanger. So yeah, and I hopefully won't be resolving that immediately in part 5. I don't think so. Yeah. Yeah, and it's been really fun to use this guy, because obviously it's a hand puppet, so it's been kind of unique going, I am the Drashig, you know, because I've had my hand in said thing, in said puppet. So yeah, it's a unique experience, and a unique sort of Doctor Who piece of merchandise, or figure, really. Well, it's not technically a figure, it's a hand puppet, but yeah. So yeah, Jack isn't in the series anymore, and you'll have to find out whether or not these two survive, or whether or not either of them survive. So yeah, Yeah, what else? What else? What else? What else? Oh yeah, I've still got a few sort of plot twists coming your way in the part 5 and 6. So yeah, part 4 has been probably, I think, the longest part. That's because I tried cramming in quite a bit of stuff. This is the Drashig actually. So the idea was that the reason why obviously it's called the Kraken is because Jack thinks this fellow is the Kraken, and they're in this sort of village that's surrounded mainly by water and stuff. So obviously he's going to be kind of like this myth around the village, and that. But actually, he's never been the Kraken. It's just a Drashig, an alien from another world. But obviously, to the locals, it's more rational to think that he's a sort of mythology or ancient sort of sea creature of sorts. Obviously, as the Doctor says, the Doctor knows the Drashigs and mentions this little... I just wanted to add to the depth of the fear factor, really, to this monster, or this foe. So I added in that bit where the Doctor was like, oh, and there's people within the universe that, children within the universe who have nightmares of these creatures. To just that sort of terror factor, which is something that I feel like the new series of Who forgets sometimes, as much as, sometimes writing a backstory to a villain can be just as sort of fulfilling as seeing said villain kill people. Yeah, the Skovox Blitzer, for example, killed that police officer, but then he was teleported or put into the Nethersphere, but nonetheless he killed someone. Yeah, okay, that was creepy and dark, but if we'd see, if he had that backstory of, the 12th Doctor being like, oh no, it's a Skovox Blitzer, the tyranny, they've terrorized countless planets, and blown up so very many, or something like that, that can just be as impactful as visually seeing something, because it leaves it to the imagination, and if you've got a good imagination like a lot of kids do, or teens, or I do, then yeah, you can kind of just visualize what it is. So, but yeah, what else? That's about it, really. I hope you comment, and subscribe. Like, comment, rate, and subscribe. So yeah.